You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Hristodoulou.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Hristodoulou, and today we are diving into the conference championships, going through my picks, score predictions, what is the reason for why I think the team that's going to win is going to come out victorious, all of that stuff. We're focusing on the AFC Championship here in this conversation, so make sure, if you have not already, check out my NFC Championship prediction video as well, or if you're listening on one of the podcasting platforms, of course, you can listen to it there, wherever you consume your podcasts. But make sure you comment down below. Let me know who you think's going to win. Give me a score. Give me some good reasons as to why. Do I maybe miss something that you're looking at that you think could be a deciding factor for this game? I want to hear all of your opinions and what I'm getting right or what I'm getting wrong with my preview here. But without further ado, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals heading into Kansas City, the world beaters of the AFC, trying to take down Patrick Mahomes, who might be hobbling around on one leg in this game. We'll see just how hurt he is come game day. And the Kansas City Chiefs. This is truly a battle of the quarterbacks. You are looking at Patrick Mahomes, who, just a couple of years ago, the baby goat comparisons to Tom Brady and how he is the guy of the NFL. And he's trying to defeat his demons in the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that is 3-0 against him since Joe Burrow took over, a team that I have picked all 3 times so far to beat the Chiefs in every meeting that they've had so far, and could potentially do it again today. We'll get to that in a minute, though. But a Chiefs team that has been, at this point, in 5 straight AFC Championship games, and not only 5 straight AFC Championship games, but have hosted 5 straight AFC Championship games. It is an underdog Bengals team trying to make it back to the Super Bowl against those Kansas City Chiefs. Now, obviously, question marks surrounding Patrick Mahomes and that ankle. Just how hurt is he? I did see a video of him walking away from a press conference the other day. No limp to be found. He looked pretty good. And, maybe this high ankle sprain isn't as bad as some people might have thought it would be. Or maybe he's doing a really good job of hiding that injury so it does not look as severe. I don't really know. We would just kind of have to wait and see. Now, there are some injury concerns with the Bengals as well. Alex Kappa, the offensive guard, and offensive tackle Jonah Williams both missed last week's contest, and there is a potential, as they are both continuing to be listed as questionable, to miss this game, and that could definitely hurt against a Kansas City Chiefs team that is very good at pressuring the quarterback and also very good at just hitting the quarterback. But Joe Burrow has shown when it comes to facing the pressure, he is among some of the best in the NFL. So while you can be worried about that Bengals offensive line, he made it to the Super Bowl last year behind a very porous unit. And I would say that this offensive line this year, when fully healthy, has been much better. And even minus some of those pieces, has still been pretty good at protecting him. Ultimately, it's going to come down to, can the Chiefs pressure Joe Burrow enough without having to commit too many assets to getting after him. Ultimately, if you can rush 4 and drop the rest in coverage, that would be ideal against Joe Burrow. You don't want to have to send too much after him because Joe Burrow's really good against the blitz. But I think that's really how that kind of battle's going to go down. Can Kansas City commit as little as possible to rushing the quarterback and still being effective in bringing in some pressure so they can drop back as much in coverage as necessary? Now, another thing that I'm really looking at in this game here, because neither of these teams are necessarily dominant when it comes to it, is who is going to establish the run game first and who's going to be able to hold steady in that run game through the duration of the game, so you can obviously keep the defense honest, open up the play action a little bit. Because when you look at the numbers for both of these teams rushing here, the Kansas City Chiefs, 115 yards a game season average, they're ranked 20th in the NFL. And then the Bengals, one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to rushing, at only 95 yards a game. Neither of these teams are really a team that you look at and you go, okay, we really need to fear the running game. Now, I will say towards the back half of the season, the Chiefs have kind of caught a little bit of fire, and maybe that number's skewed a little bit because they weren't as effective during the beginning of the year. But Isaiah Pacheco has really turned into a dude for the Kansas City Chiefs. And with the potential that maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be playing in this game because he was just activated off the IR not too long ago, really opens things up for that ground game. Now, focusing on the Bengals, again, have not really been the most run-heavy team in general, but Joe Mixon just last week absolutely exploded, and the Bengals finished the game, and their pairing with Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine is not necessarily one that you can just write off. Like, the Bengals don't run a ton because Joe Burrow's so good at what he does with the football in his hands, but realistically speaking, you could count on this Bengals team to be effective on the ground if they really needed to. And we saw just how physical that O-line was against the Bills last week. Don't just sit here and think that, because the Bengals were one of the worst rushing attacks in the league, they can't run the ball. We saw if they wanted to get physical, Joe Mixon can be effective if he's given the opportunity and the lanes are opened up for him. And Samaje Perine is an excellent spellback for him. So for me, whichever team can really establish a legitimate ground game in this football matchup, I say has a really good shot of coming away with a victory. But what really sticks out to me, and I think is really going to be the ultimate deciding factor, and we've been hearing the comparisons all week so far, and I think we'll continue to hear it into the lead up of this game, is just which quarterback is going to take over this game and lead their team to victory. Both of these teams are very pass heavy, both top 5 units in terms of yards per game through the air. The Chiefs are first in passing touchdowns this year with 41 on the season. The Bengals are number 2 with 35 passing touchdowns. Both of these teams get it done. Their bread and butter is putting the football into their quarterback's hands and leaning basically on their shoulders to have them manage the game and drive them right down the field and put some points on the board. I really can't sit here and tell you who I think is going to come out and have the better game, especially with the unknown of just how hurt Patrick Mahomes is. He's an absolute wizard with what he does on the football field. Even when he was hurt in that game against the Jaguars, he still had a few throws here and there where he was able to complete passes that were necessary. Maybe he wasn't as exciting to watch when he was hobbled, but he was still able to get the job done. And prior to that injury, he had like 3 jump passes that were just unbelievable. And I believe one of the jump passes came after the ankle injury as well. What he can do with the football when he's feeling good and he's rolling is unbelievable. And then you look at Joe Burrow. This is a guy who had me all in and sold in their loss to the Green Bay Packers last year. That was when I really saw him kind of take over the game, and it's unfortunate they lost that game because all the missed field goals, the Bengals really should have beaten the Packers in that game last year. But that point aside, in that game, and ever since then, I have looked at Joe Burrow and said, wow, if there is a guy at the line of scrimmage, especially because he does a lot under center too, which is very similar to like the early days of Peyton Manning when he was in Indy, before he became like the shotgun machine that he was over there in Denver. And even then he was still under center a decent amount, but really opened things up through the shotgun. I watch him at the line of scrimmage, the orders he's barking out, the checks he's doing to the offensive line. He is in complete command and control. He reminds me so much of Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage. It almost makes me want to cry because I'm somebody that grew up rooting for Indianapolis. I just cannot gush enough about the leader and the control and ability that Joe Burrow has. While obviously his physical talents are great, he's mobile enough to get it done when necessary and get you those extra yards. He has the arm strength. He has the accuracy. It's what he does up there at the line of scrimmage that is just unbelievable and something that I feel like the NFL has kind of missed in a way since Peyton Manning walked away. Joe Burrow is an absolute field general. And I think if there's anyone that you're going to try to stack up against Patrick Mahomes within this like young group of quarterbacks, at this point, it's got to be Joe Burrow. He's 3-0 against KC at this point in his career. So he's beaten Patrick Mahomes time and again in games where it mattered and mattered most in terms of playoff contention last year with that AFC Championship game in Kansas City. There is a very good chance with how good this Bengals defense is and a healthy offense, aside from those offensive linemen, and even if they get one back, that would be huge for them. If, let's say, Alex Kappa or Jonah Williams is able to play, that would be monumental. There is a really good chance that the Bengals come in, win this game, and Joe Burrow is 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes. The over-under for this game is 47. And I always preface my gambling opinions by saying that I am not a gambling expert by any means. I don't even bet, but I do have opinions on them, and I like to share them with you. The over-under of 47 is definitely something that I think could be crossed over just because of the fact that, like I said, both these teams' bread and butter is through the air. Both top 5 passing attacks, both are literally the top 2 teams in terms of touchdowns scored through the air. 47 seems a little bit low when you consider the fact that both of these teams' defenses ranked 23rd for the Bengals and 18th for the Chiefs when it comes to defending the pass in terms of yards per game. So I think that there is a really good opportunity that this game kind of gets, I wouldn't be shocked if this game kind of turns into a shootout and we start seeing points kind of left and right, or even if it's not a quick fire game where it's like you're getting like 6, 7, 8 play, 9 play drives where both quarterbacks are just doing their thing, slicing and dicing defenses, finding their way into the end zone. This is a game that I feel the over is very possible, whereas when I look at the NFC Championship game, that feels like an under game because of 2 really good stout defenses. Now, as for who I think is going to win, I've picked the Bengals 3 times already to beat the Chiefs, and they did it all 3 times that I have picked the Bengals. There is a piece of me that really feels like all good things must come to an end. And this little streak that's been talked about so much with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, you know, maybe this is the time. Maybe that streak comes to an end. Maybe Patrick Mahomes isn't as hurt as we all thought he was, and it comes down to, you know, that final possession, and it's in Patrick Mahomes' hand, and he drives down the field like he's done so many times and finds himself in his 3rd Super Bowl of his career. But then I look at the Bengals and just how good this defense has been, especially the last like 5 or 6 weeks has just been really, really good. I trust in Joe Burrow. I trust in what the Bengals have been doing defensively. For the 4th time in a row, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. And I have the Bengals winning this game 28-24. That puts my score total at 52. So like I said, I kind of feel like the over is possible in this game here, with both of these defenses not necessarily being the greatest at defending the pass, and they let teams move a lot through the air. I could see both these quarterbacks, even if they're not having field days, having effective days, being able to slice and dice the defense a bit and get themselves into the end zone. I like the Bengals. I think if you're a gambler and you like the underdogs, taking that Bengals +1, if you're going to give me points for Cincy, why not take it? If you're an underdog guy, the Bengals don't really feel like that big of an underdog in this game, and it's clearly reflected here in the betting odds. So give me Cincinnati 28-24. I think they get it done. Joe Burrow and the Bengals move to 4-0 over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But that's it for me. That is my AFC Championship prediction. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Again, what am I getting right? What am I getting wrong? Maybe did I miss something that you think could be a deciding factor? What's your score? Who's your winner? I would love to hear. But hit that like and subscribe button if you want to help support the channel. That is it for me. I will see you all next time. Have a good one.